Okay, starting over. I'm just kidding. Okay. So for those of you guys that were here, you heard the spiel up to now. But what we're talking about is we're talking about Bankonomics. I'm coining it Bankonomics because I want people to understand how banks operate and why there is a possibility of all these banks going under. Okay, now I'm also a little bit of a conspiracy theorist myself, but I won't go too deep into that. But the ultimate goal is for us to really understand what's going on in the market and how we should position ourselves moving forward. And I'll give my opinions on what I'm doing now. Right. So, anyways, back to the banks. Uh, so the banks, now there is this new program out that says for 1 year you can borrow from us and you tell us the evaluation of the collateral that you got. Okay, that it's crazy. It's madness. So your T-bill that is not worth $100 anymore, we'll give you $100. Okay, and you'll get like a very small a very small payment on that. So these banks now have the liquidity to be able to cover if you go to the bank and ask for the money because they don't normally have it. They need to go get it. So this now opens a channel for them to have access to money. Um, some of the banks even went further and took that loan and went and relent it to make money on it. So I think, okay, there is a theory out there that it's coming to an abrupt end because these banks are doing that. Why are they doing it? Because they also have shareholders and they have to show profit. They are not their profits in the commercial real estate side is not there. Okay, and it's actually creating tons of different scares out there. A lot of people are worried, right? And so are these banks. Your deals are in trouble. That goes up the chain, and they're in trouble because they hold. Some of the regional banks hold upwards of 50% of their investments in commercial real estate. All right, so you can see how this this BTFP, this program that the Federal Reserve, the government gave to the banks, is really just like a bailout, right? Because where are they getting the money from? They're printing it and they're giving it to the banks. As long as the government keeps printing, we just keep building these cards on top of each other, and the house of cards just get bigger and bigger and taller. Now I don't know where that's gonna go eventually. Maybe we can just keep printing forever and that is sustainable. I don't know. Up to this point, it kind of is. But if you think about governments in general, right? If you want to get anything done, and we don't even have to say government, there's not even a conspiracy. If you're running a business, okay, and you had 100 people at the table making decisions, nothing's going to get done, right? So if you're the head of this business, of this government, of this economy, you're going to be like, I don't need all these voices and all these people voting and talking and making decisions with us. Why don't we just have a couple big banks do it? Right. So I don't know how this conspiracy, if you think about the way that it's planned out, if that was the case, if the case was, this is me going a little bit into conspiracy theory, but take it how you will, take it with a grain of salt. Okay. It's not the truth. It's just my theory on it, which is if the government wants more things done and be able to implement regulations and things like that, they don't need all these other small regional banks and all these people, butting in with their opinions. They want JP Morgan, they want some of the big players to be at the table, and that's it. We can get things done, just the five of us. Right? We're big enough. You guys, how do we consolidate? We consolidate by making an announcement that no interest rates, that we do not see the interest rates going up at all. Right? Literally everybody's saying, "Oh my God, the interest rates are so low." Everybody's getting adjustable loans, and no one thinks that it's going to go up. All right, so they came out and literally said that. If they say that, that means the banks are like, we have a whole ton of cash. What we get to do with it is we go buy the most risk-free thing, the government, the treasury bills, right? The bonds, they're the safest. Interest rates won't go up. That means there's no exposure. Now, if it went up a little bit, we're still good. Our bills are still good, except it didn't go up a little bit, right? Literally, right after the banks go buy all the bills there are, all the bonds there are, the interest rates went skyrocketing. And it caused a panic because when interest rates skyrocket, asset values come down, right? All of the assets that the smaller banks are holding comes down. Money becomes harder for businesses to get access to. So they can't pay their employees. They can't expand in the way that they want. So they're shrinking and they're asking for their money back from the bank. And now Silicon Valley commands a whole ton of these types of investments. And people made a run on Silicon Valley Bank. They had to shut the doors. It was like, what was like one day? One day when people went and made a run on the bank, they shut down. All right. So think about just the series of events that happen. Now they're like, okay, well, we can't have all of these banks shut down at the same time. We're going to have a couple big ones. It's scary, right? Now people are worried and they're being prepped to what could be possible. Right? So we don't want to just drop the shoe. Let's just lightly, shock them real quick. Again, this is all my opinion, okay? But just following the sequence of events. All right. And so now they come out with this program. For 1 year, you can just borrow and you tell me the value of your collateral. Okay. You don't even have to have any prior relationship. As long as you're a lending institution, you can go and do this. That's insane. Literally insanity. And it's just another word for government bailout on the banks. Because now they're going to pull it away. So what happens today? This program ends. Banks no longer. I don't really know about why they sue Trump, but this program is ending today. That means banks cannot go and borrow money recklessly anymore from the Federal Reserve. They're no longer just giving this free money out to these banks. Now, what's possible? What's the result of all of this? Okay, it's kind of like if you lost your job, okay, what time period before you start to not be able to pay your credit card and your car and things start to default? So it's not going to happen tomorrow, whatever is going to happen, but this banks now don't have access to liquidity that they need. And they still have all these stupid bonds, not stupid, but they still have these bonds that are worth way less than when they bought it. And then they have all this commercial real estate that is worth less than when they lent on it. So you can see how these banks are in trouble. Now, if we decided to say we all go to the regional bank in our local community and we say we need our money back, 10% of their customers go and do that, they're going to shut their doors. Not even 10%, 5% probably go and ask for their money. They'll shut their doors because they got no liquidity. A combination of fractional reserve, irresponsible borrowing, irresponsible investing, right? Because when interest rates are low, everybody is trying to hustle and make money. All right, so they're giving loans out left and right. Everything's qualified. There's very little. It's not conservative in the underwriting. All right, so like, yeah, okay, your building's worth 14 million. Sure, here you go. Here's the loan on it. And then here it comes, interest rates going up. Now the building's worth 70%, 60%. And then you have these large institutions, right? You got BlackRock, Vanguard, Fidelity. That's just returning whole offices, whole office buildings, large. Actually, it's mostly in the office building and the hotel space. It just gave it to the banks. The banks do not operate deals. Their job is to collect the interest. That's how they make money. All of a sudden, they got all these assets that they don't know what to do with. They're trying to dispose of it. They're trying to have some people come in and buy it. But it's happening too fast. Now, BlackRock's like, yeah, sure, take those. We don't need those. They have all the things that you read. Don't you see how much money they have in reserve right now? Like BlackRock, like Fidelity, Vanguard, the WeWork guy. These guys have so much money sitting on the sidelines right now. Why didn't they save their building? Because they don't care. They also own the large banks, right? They play at the whole nother level. So I want, as a result of this, hopefully everyone can kind of just elevate your thinking or like elevate, I guess would be the word. Elevate to like the 30,000 view looking down at what the top players are doing. And if the top players are doing this, how can we participate in that? That's the thinking. Right? The thinking can't be about, oh, this bank is going down. That doesn't even really matter. Okay, that's the smokescreen of stuff. It's what are the big guys doing? What are they waiting for? Why are they pencils down? And why do they have literally, if you read some of the things in the news, they literally have freaking $50 billion, $100 billion waiting to do what? They gave those buildings back. They are the catalyst and propelled this whole what's going on in the economy. And when that thing drops, when the shoe drops, if, okay, I'm not saying it will, but if the shoe drops and everything goes on fire sale, who's going to come in and scoop it up? Everything's going to be bought by the institutions, right? So they're saying that, yes, the US is going to become a renter nation. That's the way it's going to happen, right? The result, banks can't get access to funds. They have no liquidity. That means less money being lent to businesses, less money available for the average person. The average citizen, the average American is going to fall further behind on their already crazy credit card balance that they got. Right? I mean, everybody's got it. Everybody's kind of living that way, right? So then what? The the businesses don't have access to the money. That means they can't really operate the businesses that they want to. They might have to cut people. So now you got unemployment, things are going to happen. That looks like what's going to happen. Right? I mean, for me, I think what's really important and where I'm leading to in all this is that I'm actually kind of just hoarding and holding on to money. I'm hoarding and holding on to money because I'm like, well, if shit hits the fan, then I want to be able to take advantage of it. And if it doesn't, it's always a good time to buy. So it doesn't matter what happens in the market, as long as you know underwriting, as long as you know debt, and this is the stuff that we've been teaching and we're really focused on teaching moving forward, is debt, is capital stack. Everybody needs to learn, how do you get a deal done? It doesn't matter if it's a business, if it's real estate. How do you get the money to start operating? Everyone needs to learn that. So that's what we're going to be teaching mainly moving forward, about private equity, about funds. And so I think for me personally, I'm going to do what these big guys are doing. I'm going to sit and wait. And I'm not saying that if there's just a super smoking hot, awesome deal that you don't take advantage of it. But I'm saying that there's probably going to be a lot more of those than there was 2 years ago. There's going to be a lot of people if you just look at what's happening, there's going to be a lot more people in desperation mode, and they have to off some properties just to pay their own bills. Right? Or they don't even have any reserves to keep a deal going to make it through these times. So everyone's going to be thinking, okay, where do I cut my losses? How much am I willing to cut? So this is it really is a time that everybody should start learning. Like, well, the quote that I heard this week, and I love it. It's who said it? The greatest mistake that investors make is that we don't learn from history. So one, we didn't learn anything from 2007, 2008. Two, right now is an opportunity to learn. Right? These kind of things happen 3 or 4 times in your lifetime. Each one of us probably will have 3 or 4 chances of really crushing it, of having investments that literally are life changing. I think it's in the real estate space. I always think it is. I think there's the most accidental millionaires being made in the real estate space. You buy a property, you hold it for 30 years, you're probably going to become a millionaire. Pretty high chance, right? I mean, every single person that I know that has had properties, that has sold it, was like, dang, man, I sold it then. It's worth like $600,000 right now. I think every single person that has bought real estate probably has that story right there, right? I mean, I think about it, I'm like, oh man, I made so much money on that property I sold, but right now it's worth double that shit. It is worth $1 million. I bought it for 220. I got out at 660. Now it's at $1 million. So here it is. Here is another opportunity in our lifetime that we might be able to really make some life-changing things. But that's only if you focus on the right things. If you focus your mind and you pay attention and you give your energy to the right places, because people don't. People focus and give their energies to the smoke screen. And then when it's all said and done, they missed everything. They're like, what was I even paying attention to? Right? In 2007, 2008, what was everybody paying attention to? Everybody was paying attention and giving energy to blaming. Oh, these guys are assholes and they're so dumb, they're irresponsible. It's the banks this, the banks that. Nobody was focused on, well, small percentage was focused on what am I going to do next? Yes, this is happening. Great. By talking about it doesn't actually do anything for me. What do I need to do now? Right? So for me, I'm like, yep, let me just stack a little bit. I have a deal that I could put money into, but I refuse to. I'm like, I'm not gonna. Like, I'm stacking money. I'm still gonna do deals. There are still amazing deals out there. I'm not saying there's gonna be no more deals, uh, or it's not a good time to buy. I'm not saying that, right? I always think it's a good time to buy, but you do have to weather the storm coming. Based on what I shared about the banks, logically, now, logic really has nothing to do with economy most of the times, but logically, what is happening, the sequence of events is that regional, community, small bank goes, and the bigger banks, JP Morgan sitting at the table, you got Bank of America, you got these big players that are like, well, we could buy them, but there's a lot of negative assets that they own. Right? We're going to take on a lot of liabilities. Hey, Federal Reserve, why don't you just cover that and then we'll take it? It's a win-win for everyone. We're all happy. All right, you have your clients in the bank, they're not going to lose their money. All right, we'll cover that. Federal Reserve, you cover it. We take over the business operations. You have one less person at the table making noise, and we can get stuff done. We have our agenda, whatever the agenda is. I don't know. I don't know if the agenda is good or it's bad. I don't really know. Okay, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it does require that. But literally everything moves in the cycle. You got consolidation, right? And then you have and then everyone's like, oh, well, they got too much power. We need to go and decentralize. And then it kind of decentralizes. And then all the shit hits the fan. Then it consolidates again. I mean, it's just the same thing over and over and over again. You just got to know, where in the cycle are we and what do I have to do? And the best thing you can always do is to bet and invest on yourself. And that's not just investing money in yourself, but your time and energy. Like, so important to be focused, so important to be consistent, and finding, like, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to study this? I literally spent like the last 3 weeks watching every video, reading everything there is about this bank thing. And I was like, yeah, let me just share it in a very simple way, because half the shit out there just is trying to make it more confusing. Especially when you put those like big guys that are there that are like, talking like they know what they're doing, and they use these big words, and it just confuses things even more. Like, look, it's very simple. This is literally a bailout on banks. Okay, stop using all these terms and all these words and giving these details, which they're like, oh well, we're doing this because it's for the business, for businesses to be able to grow and give money to them. Really, I don't. It's a. I believe everything. There's an agenda behind it. Why are they pulling it all of a sudden? Right? They're like, okay, well, we're pulling it. And so what comes next when these banks they rely on the liquidity, right? In this 1 year, $180 billion was borrowed from the banks to be able to operate. 180 billion. 1.8 billion, Silicon Valley Bank went down. That's a big bank. 1.8 billion. So 180 billion, that's 100 times that across the board to all the regional banks, small banks, community banks. What happens then? These banks don't really have that much support. Their lifeline is right there. It was controlled by the Federal Reserve. They thought it was a good investment to buy all the T-bills. They're like, man, I'd take 4 or 5% returns on my money. No risk? Yeah, let's do it. What's his name? Jerome Powell was like, yeah, no interest rate increases. There's no chance of that happening. Literally right after he said it, it started skyrocketing. Like, who holds these guys accountable for the shit that they say, too? If Elon Musk goes and says something about Dogecoin and it goes up, he gets fined. He's not allowed to do this. Right? Like, everything is regulated and monitored. However, they don't follow the rules. Again, I'm sharing all of this just so that you guys can have a expansion of your thinking about the banking market. This is Bankonomics part 1. Next week, we're actually going to talk deeper into it for the part 2. But I really just want to kind of answer some questions, bring some awarenesses, share like my personal strategies right now, and we are coming we are creating a income slash, well, it's really a debt fund, but we're calling it an income fund. And I believe that when these banks are unable to loan, because you will see tightening of loans, it's going to be harder. It's already hard for people to get loans now. Okay, everybody that's trying to refinance, okay, everyone that's trying to refinance, you're not getting like a good rate or a good loan to value, right? I mean, you should be able to cash out, but instead you got to cash in. Like, what? Nobody was prepared for that. Especially everyone that listened to interest rates will not go up. So I'm going to get that variable adjustable loan 2 years ago, and no deals can really handle a 5-point increase, 6-point increase in interest rates in that time. And now, after you've survived it, your loan is coming due. And you put some extra effort into it. You increase the NOI. You did everything you're supposed to do for the property, and now you don't get the evaluation or you don't get the loan to value for it. And you end up having to cash in refinance. All right, so this is kind of just over top level for everyone to high level of what we're talking about and what we're looking at here. And so for me, it's that. I think family offices, private equity is going to come in and rescue. Is going to provide the debt that the US and the banks cannot provide right now. Okay? And a lot of that actually comes from international money. It's an invitation. I don't know what it is, but it's an invitation for international money to come into the US. I don't really know what the whole reasoning behind it is, right? To get more buy-in from all the countries, that now their money is kind of tied into the states. I don't know. Maybe the US dollar, they just won't let it not be the world currency. I don't know. So let's see. Some comment in here. Let me remove my spotlight so I can see everybody. Any questions, thoughts? I'll take a break right there. I kind of just went on a tangent of 38 minutes. So I'll take a breather. Questions, thoughts? US dollar is the greatest product ever produced. Maybe.
Hey, yeah, I'll say something because I had Bridger's dad had wrote in a book about the U.S. dollar and how like we think that Biden is not really doing a good job, but in reality, they know what they're doing because they're like making the markets in China crash and shit, you know,
Yeah.
and because so much uh bonds, like if they try to cash out, like they'll only get half of what they actually have. But the scenario that you were talking about, how the values have gone down, but they're still giving the loans to the perceived value. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you get everyone to
And
buy
then,
the bonds. Yeah. Everyone buys the bonds. Interest rates go up. Bonds are half the price now. Banks can't get access to their money. Their money's tied in there. Right? So
for sure.
it's
And
not
then
just the banks. It's everybody.
when they took what when they closed that pipeline down that everybody was pissed off about, and they started buying from Saudi Arabia, um, basically what they were doing was keeping them on the U.S. dollar because they're buying in dollars, they're exchanging in dollars. Um, if we basically support ourselves with oil, they could go over to China and to these other countries, and there'd be a shift in balance of powers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's already a shift in the balance of power, and the US is probably doing whatever they can to hold on to it. Right. And nobody's buying the war, so something else gets to happen. I don't know. That goes a little bit too deep. I don't even want to spend
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah,
energy or time thinking about it. Like we want to
yeah,
look back to what do we get to do? Right? I'm not going to make an impact at that level right now, but what
yeah.
do I get to do so that I can prepare myself for the if a bad scenario happens, right? And then turn that bad scenario to be something good. That's the goal, you know? So, N, go ahead.
Oh, I had one more comment, but have you read the book, The Island of Jekyll Island or something?
Yeah. Where the Federal Reserve was created.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what the book says. They just the plan is the bailout. They never plan on paying the debt. You know, it's to get it from the people. So
Listen, the game is set.
that
We get to play that
yeah,
game too, right? I mean, that
for
game is
sure.
available to us. We don't need to go play soccer on a basketball court. We just say, hey, okay, well, if your plan is not to pay the debt, then our plan is also to kick the debt down the road also. Right? I mean, you don't need to be climbing uphill in every single battle. There are places in which you can just chill and ride the wave. Okay? So if they create the laws, okay, from the tax side of the IRS, like that law, those laws in real estate, they basically tell you how you should be investing. Like they give you ways to not pay taxes. Like why not learn this? That's the thing, right? People are like complaining about taxes, but you don't actually have to pay taxes if you learn something. How much is that worth in your time, in your money? Right? But nobody wants to take the time to learn. It's just easier to complain than, you know,
You know.
doesn't really work. So go ahead and
Yeah, Alex, how you doing, my friend?
what's up?
How you doing, man?
Good.
Hey, I just want to touch base with you. In my opinion,
Yeah, please.
last time I called in, I was talking to you. We were talking, commercial down 30% right now,
Mm-hmm.
multifamily, right? I think we could see 40 to 50% decline. There's a lot of reports coming in that the people aren't paying the rent. If you watch the Ken McElroy show, he's
Yes.
even saying that he's having extremely high delinquencies,
Mm-hmm.
more than ever. And I'm going to say that the residential actually goes down, because what I'm seeing in my market right now is the expensive homes, which is like 700,000 and up. They're starting to they're having huge price drops. The homes are like 300,000-400,000 because people can afford the payment with those. I'm not really seeing much of a drop there,
Mm-hmm.
but compared to 2019, it's very similar pricing, and I think it's going to be basically lower soon. As
Yeah.
it seems like something crazy is going to happen here. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it does happen, how do you prepare yourself for that? If the thing that you wanted, we were talking about dream cars, right? On the call with the teens right before this. If your dream car was coming for sale, you knew it was possibly coming for sale, 50% discount, what do you do right now?
So what are you doing? Are you getting in? Are you talking with the banks to basically get listings of their delinquencies, or that's
No,
probably a good move,
well,
right?
I'm stacking cash, one, and number
Mm-hmm.
two, I'm building all the relationships that I need so when the time comes that we can together go and grab things.
Yeah.
And like I have literally, the connections that I'm making, these guys are very impressed with what we're doing, what we created. You know, the this is also why social media is very important, by the way. These big funds and these big people, they actually look at your social media to see who you are and what you're about.
Yeah.
Like that is actually a thing. Okay. It's not just for your peers. When you're doing your social media, what you're speaking about, like they will look at, right? So the deeper like your conversation, the more people you're ready to serve, and the more thought out things that you share, like they're gonna look at it.
Mm-hmm.
They look at all of it, and they get a sense of who you are. At least social media is, you should be putting things on there that represents the greatest version of you, and then
Yeah. No
also
half
to
naked girls.
be that, huh?
No half naked girls, right?
Yeah, you put all that on there. Yeah, okay, you get a lot of people engaging and looking at it. But if you have somebody that is somebody looking at your Instagram, like, is
Yeah.
that what you want to show them? Is that who's gonna be investing with you? Is that who somebody's gonna bring you on as a partner? No.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that whole engagement side of it, it has created a false uh idea of what really social media should be about. So that's a whole separate conversation. But, since I've been working with a lot of really big players, the social media aspect of it, what I'm talking about, I talk a lot about spiritual things, about funds, about, relationships. Like these are things that they're like, oh, okay, he's not just talking some BS, right? This is actually a representation of what is important for him. They want to get a sense of what my values and what my principles are.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so this is like, as I guess we're just talking a little bit about social media now, is look, when you're speaking to the person that is going to change your life, what is represented on your social media, right? I
Mm-hmm.
guess
What
that's,
part of town do you live?
I live in Vegas.
Oh, you live in Vegas. Okay. I thought you were in Florida.
No, well, I used to live in Florida. I moved. The
Okay.
mosquitoes drove me out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you? So you're just saying stacking cash is a good
Stacking
thing?
cash, learning as much as I can to play at the highest levels. I can think at the highest level, right? So like the meetings that we have are, we just met with the CCO of Caesars, and then people are kind of just connecting me because our vision is big and what we want to create is big.
Yeah, maybe talking with some regional banks. That's what I'm starting to think to do. Just some regional banks that had that floating debt. They're going to have lists pretty soon.
Oh yeah. So we
You
do
know.
have that. So actually, this is actually what I get to bring up too. At our event, okay, so this is, everybody should come or at least be virtual on this event. Where's my spotlight? Okay, March 21st to the 23rd in Vegas. 360universities.com. I think the code Alex.
You said March 26th?
21st to the 23rd.
21st. Okay.
Yeah. So we are actually, myself and my partner, we're doing a fund that deal. So we have our underwriter with us. Like, people get to pitch deals. We will show you and we'll give you like the private side term sheets right on the spot. Okay, so we're organizing, getting that all together, and we're sharing and teaching what we're creating in the debt fund side, private equity side, and our vision of what we want to create and how we're going to impact the world. So that's
This has to do with the blockchain.
Yeah, so we do have something with that. We have other speakers. Brad Blazer will be there. He's raised $2 billion, and he's going to teach people how to raise capital, how to use broker dealers, how to talk to family offices, all that stuff. So he's going to be there. Jeffrey Hazlett, who's just, a rock star all the way across the board. He's the keynote speaker on there. The CCO of Caesars will be there. And it's like a mansion that we're going to have this live event at. It's a 3-day event. And, you're going to learn everything. What was that? Yeah. So it's a mansion event. So that means it's different from a conference. Like, you can go and meet the speakers and you hang out with the speakers. You'll get to have drinks with the speakers, probably smoke a cigar with some of the guys there. Like, there's just, it's intimate setting.
Okay. I might hit you up on Instagram if I can.
Yeah. Definitely, dude. Definitely. When you go to this event, like, we didn't want to just have like a conference. Speakers on the stage, you're out there, you guys mingle, speakers finish their section, and then they just fly out, right? I mean, this is conferences when they have speakers. The speakers come in, do their portion, boom, they're out of there, right? They take a couple pictures and they're out. So this is 3 days. Everybody's in Vegas.
Is it at Caesars Hotel, or is it you're saying?
No,
is it at a mansion?
It's in a mansion. We have the CCO, the chief commercial officer of Caesars, is going to be there as well. So, like, some of the guys that you're going to meet, it's top-notch people that are going to be there. And we actually do have Anita and her husband. They are on the board of all these banks in Texas. So they can give the back end. Like, what I also heard is that these banks in the last year, in 2023, their net income dropped by 90%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What is going to happen here?
You see how these banks are literally hanging by a thread. So today, them taking away the lifeline of the banks, like they took it away today. The BTFP, the Bank Term Fund Program, they took that away. It ended today. So now the banks cannot say, hey, can we get more loan? We got these collaterals. We got these freaking treasury bills, the IOUs that you sold to us.
So what could happen? I mean, basically, if they end up bailing a bunch of people out with the $250,000 insurance, and the Fed ends up printing a bunch of money, basically money will become basically worthless at some point. I guess that's what people are saying.
Well,
who knows? That's worst case.
I mean, so think about this. Inflation is the dilution of money. Is printing more money, right? So they printed a whole ton during COVID. So we were probably supposed to have some sort of repercussion from that, but instead everything went skyrocketing because there was so much money around. And then there was a confusion about the value of money. And then when that happened, now they're like, oh, well, we got to combat inflation by raising interest rates. And they gave you numbers. They're like, yeah, these numbers, look, it's showing that it's working. Well, it ain't working if you're printing more money to bail out the banks.
Yeah, and another thing I think that could happen that I don't want to happen, but maybe somebody like that owns a bunch of property might want this to happen, is they could lower the interest rates again. And basically, in my opinion, that would keep everybody out of home ownership.
Well, look, if they lower the interest rates,
Trump comes in and he lowers the interest rates like he says he's going to do, I can see that.
He doesn't have the power to do it. It's not Biden that increased the interest rates. Okay, so here.
But he could fire the guy, right?
Oh, well, that's
Who knows, right?
It's a whole nother story. So look, interest rates going down means that there's a lot of money to lend. Okay, that's why interest rates would be down. If interest rates are down, everybody's going to come borrow money. Yeah. But they don't have the money to lend anymore. That's the problem. right? This lifeline of liquidity that the banks had just got pulled. So what's going to happen is they're going to tighten lending. Interest rates probably will go higher.
That's what I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think.
So, and just think about this. Every single person this year, from the beginning of January to now, has been like, "Ooh, interest rates are going to come down. Interest rates are going to come down." But based on what?
Yeah, they're actually at an average, anyways. If you look throughout history, they're not high.
Yes,
They're
but it's high because everybody bought a bunch of shit with low interest rates.
yeah.
So that's why it's
People
high.
are going
It's
to lose
not,
their
it's
equity.
relative, right? It's all
People are going to
relative.
lose their equity in a lot of cases. You know.
We'll see. This is why I think it's really important for private equity, family offices, and people to step up, and focus on helping people rather than, profit first. This is the entire model of the business and the funds that we're building is an impact first. It's on
All right,
impact
man.
first. It's on really shifting this whole mindset that we need to be, we need to make the most amount of money on every single transaction. Because sometimes
Yeah,
the
but
most amount of money that you can make is not made on that instant. It's over a period of time when you believe in the community, when you believe in somebody and you help them operate and to be the best version of themselves, they do become the most profitable investment, So
and all those guys that bought in Florida with the insurance going way through the roof. I mean, I don't even want to know how much they lost on their values, right?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we have some properties in Texas that definitely took a hit, from doubling in the insurance and doubling in the taxes. I have a property, we have a 300 unit in Florida that is literally the insurance went skyrocketing. We don't have a choice. There's nobody else to get from. See, this
But
is
you fixed debt though.
yeah, we have
Fixed
fixed
debt.
debt.
Well, that's good then. That's good. Because I
Yeah,
mean, because you're not going to have a problem if you just keep ride it out, right?
I guess. So it's just about
Yeah.
riding it out. But the thing is also, so this will be a separate conversation later about your communications with your investors, right? Because there was an expectation that was set. This thing happened. How do you communicate in a very transparent, truthful, genuine way, right? A lot of people are kind of just keep sweeping it under a rug and hopefully things will be better. So, this is all stuff that we're going to talk about at the 360 University in Vegas. I strongly urge everybody to come live. Okay, come live. Meet us in person. Meet me in person, and come check it out. Meet some of our partners. Meet some of the mentors that are there. Right, everybody there is actually doing the deals. There is not one person that will be teaching based off of a concept. Everyone is teaching what they are already doing and are mastering, that they have mastery at. So it's going to be really cool. Anyways, all right, Fraser, go ahead. Hey, hold on. Let me go back to N real quick. So what's your name? I just see an N on both the name and the screen.
Yeah, Alex, it's Nick.
Oh,
I just did it real quick because I just downloaded the app and put it
okay.
in. But it's Nick. I'm on
Okay.
your Instagram, so
All right,
I'll
all right.
pick you up.
All right, brother.
All right, man.
Fraser, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I find this conversation extremely interesting because of what I've been researching with a friend of mine, even on the BlackRock side of things, and how they're actually investing now in Bitcoin. It's the first time they've ever done that. And then with the debt, so it's interesting to talk about how the banks in the United States, what's happening there. Because if you look at the Canadian bank, it's at $2.18 trillion in debt right now, and our dollar value it has gone like less and less and less over the last couple of years, compared to the U.S. dollar. Our dollar doesn't go anywhere near as far as what it used to. It was
You're talking about
now,
Canadian dollars.
yeah. So now our dollar is worth a dollar. A dollar of ours is worth $1.35 of yours.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if the same things that they're doing here in Canada are happening in the United States, you can see that dollar ratio is going to change, right? By the debt that's happening, or by the way that they're managing their money.
Yeah. I mean, I think BlackRock, first of all, BlackRock investing in Bitcoin and all that. I don't know. I don't know why they're doing it, but the story's got to make sense, right? I mean, the story, the consistency of, hey, we need to go buy something outside of the U.S. dollar, da 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 da. Less confidence. We need
It's a
everyone to not have
transition
confidence.
into, I think it's a transition into digital currency. I
Yeah,
think Bitcoin's kind of a scam and it's going to transition people into a digital currency.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on that. I do think, all these coins, like what are you buying these coins with? You can't even touch it, right? Like we're buying these coins based off of what evaluation is it? I'm thinking like if I have 2 Bitcoins right now and I go and it shot up to what 72,000 today, I go and sell it, like somebody has to buy it in order for me to sell it, no?
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't even play that game because think about it. Even if you made 100% on your money in a very short period of time, which is the intriguing part for crypto, is that people can make money fast, right? If you were to make 100% of your money, the capital gains on that thing is going to be like 50%. And then you got gas fees or whatever they call it when you're transferring coins from coin to coin or whatever. You end up with like 20-30%. So you're risking all that just to get this. I just don't think it's worth it. There's too much tax in between.
So then the question is, like, because you were talking about capital stacking or putting your money, saving it, where are you putting it that you wouldn't be putting it in?
I just got it in the bank right now. So I'm thinking perhaps for the first time to buy like the short term, the treasury bills, the bonds, or put it in some kind of high interest saving account. I don't know, but it's just going to sit there and not really do anything. I'm not concerned about, making 4 or 5% right now as I sit and wait. I just want to be ready to execute when that time comes.
What about into like what people have been talking about for some time? Is those insurance, whole life insurance,
Whole life insurance and all that.
universal.
I don't know. There's definitely a way to leverage that. Hold on, I gotta mute you. You got feedback. Okay. Um. Yeah, I mean that's another play. You can go into that direction. Wait, it's not you. Hold on. Is it me? Who do I gotta mute? Who's giving me feedback? Okay. Um. No, for me right now, I'm not interested in that either. I think putting it, I want to put it somewhere when the time comes. I mean, look, the deals are coming. Okay, you want to have access to your money when the time comes. You want to have access to people that have access to money when that time comes. Like I literally have people willing to give me their property at the cost of their loan. They're just like, take it. They can't handle it anymore. Okay, the dude's paying $1 million a year on the property. Like he does not even care about losing all the money he put into it. He's just like, take it. I can't be losing $1 million a year anymore. I mean, we're doing some underwriting on it. We're trying to see, yeah, let's try and take it at just the price. But even at the price of the freaking loan itself, whatever the debt that is on there, it's still barely making sense. 2 years ago, it would have been like a steal. So it's hard for us to think like these deals are happening and it's going to get better and better as people become more desperate. So I'm not saying like, hey, let's take advantage of people's misfortunes, but it's happening. How are you going to position yourself? Right? The better you can do, the more people you can help. So, all right, Svelo, go ahead, brother. Hey, welcome back.
Hey, hello everybody. Hello, brother Alex. How you doing?
Good. How are you, man? It's good to see you.
Great. I'm gonna be in Vegas most likely tomorrow, and through Thursday night I'm gonna be busy. So can I text you if you're in Vegas? Maybe we can meet up in Forty Tapos for dinner tomorrow on Wednesday. Let me know.
Yeah, of course. Let's do it.
Yeah, let me know which day is better for you.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we can catch up then.
Mm-hmm. Sounds
All
good.
right.
It's good to
Thank
see
you,
you.
brother Alex.
Yeah. So again, this is I guess anybody have questions on what we've talked about here today about the banks? Like, what are your concerns? What does it mean when the time comes? When the time comes, you will know. No. Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm sure you're actually gonna know, like when the time comes. Like when that time comes is when you really start to see like there is just deal after deal after deal. The every deal is better than the next. You know, every deal is cheaper than the next. That's when you will. Like right now, there's kind of like a tug of war right now. Sellers are like, "No, I can hang on. If the interest rates just come back down, I can hang on." And buyers are like, "No, you can't. We're going to lowball you." And so there's a battle between that right now. But, you know, it's not looking good for the sellers, that's for sure. Right? Like time is not on your side, money's not on your side. And that's hard. Right? So like your deals, get it through this period. If you have deals, if you got deals already, like you got to strategically figure out how you can get through and weather the storm. Okay, you run out of time and you run out of money. These are the two ways in which you will lose your deal. You got to be well funded. Like our $5 million deal has over $150,000 or $100,000 like in the bank. Like 6 figures in the bank for a $5 million deal. Right? Like it can, if we did nothing and this thing can hold on for a while. Right? Most of my deals are like that because I'm like, I'm not running out of money. I don't want to make decisions with my back against the wall. All right, so we have options. And I'm looking, when you look at debt too today, what's the most important thing? Is it loan to value? Yes, it's probably some of it has to be loan to value because if you don't get the loan to value is what the bank is willing to lend to you based on the value of the property. $10 million property, 80% loan to value is $8 million. Okay, if they said we're only going to give you 55%, 5.5 million, now you can't survive. You have to do a cash call. You have to call your investors and say, "Hey, we are about to refinance and we need to put $1.5 million. Can you guys fork up the money?" That's the last thing you want to say to your investors. So, getting loan to value right now is the most important thing for me. Okay, because what that does is maybe it gives me some cash out refinance. If I can get the right loan to value, I could get some cash out too. That cash is going to help me survive and weather the storm. Loan to value, number one. Number two, and it's different probably for some people, right? But number two could be, you know, interest rates. I mean, interest rates probably is the least of your concerns right now because you actually want what, for me, actually, okay, let me speak for myself. What I want is I want short term right now with no prepayment penalties. Okay, because I want to see where the market's going to go. And that's just mine on certain deals. Now, other deals that I have, I want the whole 10 years because it's already stabilized. I don't need to worry about it. Okay, I want to worry about it less. That means I need longer term debt. Interest rate is important. Interest only is important. Whatever is going to keep my payments the lowest, that's the important thing for me. Now, certain other deals that we have, because we are adding a lot of value to it, I want the highest, I want leverage. I want to have cash. So what my business plan that I'm putting into it, I have enough cash to do it and last. So even when you raise capital, a lot of people are buying deals. Like let's say it's a $20 million deal and you got to raise 10 million. People are literally raising like 10 million and $1. And they're like, the returns are great this way. I'm like, I'll lower my returns on my deal to my investors and raise an extra $1.5 million. We have a deal that's 11.7 million that we have under contract right now. I want $13.5 million. I want $1.8 million more than the purchase price. Because that way I can survive whatever the heck happens. Okay, cash and time. These are two things that you really need to be focused on when you're doing your deals now. Okay, Donna, go ahead.
So, as someone who lived through the 2008 crisis and got caught out by it, I will say there's a few other things that you might want to think about. One was we had access to capital through a home equity loan, so that having equity line of credit, not fixed but variable, so that was very helpful. At the time, we were able to refinance because the interest rates were lower than what we had, and that's not quite the case right now.
Well, it could be for some. I mean, we got a deal right now at 11.5 interest rate. We'll take anything at this point. We don't really have to be that selective, because anything's better than what we got right now. But we have finished all the work that we needed to do. So,
Yeah. And there's also kind of a mental toll that it takes on you. So, whatever motivation you need to stay positive through all this, it was really psychologically challenging at times, if that's your situation.
Yeah, you're gonna learn when we start to face these things, when the times get tough, when the shoe drops, when the time is right, when the time comes, right? You're gonna learn the ability or the resilience that you are as a human being, right? That's pretty cool. At least you can look at life that way when you're going through these challenges. However, what you said was really important. The line of credit. It's your ability to get access to capital that is really important to surviving and weathering what's going on. Now, the banks just lost their line of credit. They just lost their lifeline to the liquidity. So, again, what do we think is going to happen when these banks, in 1 year, these banks need $180 billion? Now there's no more. Okay. The smaller banks still own majority of the commercial real estate debt. And they're defaulting, and the value's coming down. And they've actually been collateralizing this new loan that they received using a higher evaluation of the property they have, the assets they have, the commercial deals that they have. They're like, oh no, it's worth 10 million, but it's really only worth 8. They know it, but they're like, well, we need the loan from the government using this bank program, so we got to show that they're actually at 10. All right, the T-bills that we got, $100 that we bought it for, it's really only worth like 65, but the government's saying we can go and get $100 worth from it. There has to be a repercussion for all of this, for overinflating all the assets that they're borrowing from. Plus, this just shows they don't really have liquidity. Banks are not liquid. They're banking on the fact that less than, at any given point, the worst case scenario, less than 10% of the people will want their money back. That's what they're banking on. That's a risk. And everybody is watching. Everybody's watching the stock prices. Everyone's watching the news. And the second the news drops something, right? They said something about Silicon Valley Bank. All of a sudden, everybody panics, freaks out, and goes and gets their money. They shut down like one day. $1.8 billion deficit was what they hit. And they shut down. So now, $180 billion off the table for these banks. All right, they're probably going to survive for a little bit. But like I said earlier, when you lose your job, at what point can you not afford your car anymore? Like, there is a period of time. It might be short. It might be quick for some banks. Some banks may go down immediately. But just watch how it plays out. And then for yourself, just figure out, where do you get to be? What do you get to focus on? Who do you get to surround yourself by now? What information am I listening to? Right? No knock on everybody, but if it's still, hey, let's keep going to buy deals right now. Like, it's probably not the time. I'm the number one guy advocator for buying deals now. I'm like, yes, come on, invest with me now. But I'm also saying, dude, right now is the time that I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna just keep stacking up this money, and I'm gonna save till that time comes that I believe is the right time. But in the midst of all of this happening, that much uncertainty, it's not the right time. To me personally, I feel like when there's that much uncertainty of where the market's going to go, it's not the right time. Once it takes a dive, then it's a right time anywhere in there. The top of the dive, the bottom of the dive, it doesn't matter. You at least have certainty in the direction in which the market is headed. Right now, everything logically looks like it should be a crash. But also, logically, after COVID, it should have been a crash. So I don't really know. And I don't really trust it. All right, go ahead, Fraser.
So with people that have their money in a bank that like went down, for instance, like the one you were just talking about, how are those people able to get their money out, or is it gone? Is it toast?
Government bailout.
So like, for instance, one of my examples I was going to use is like, let's say you have a $10 million property and you own it technically, but the bank is the one that got the loan for that, and they go under. Are you still able to keep the property, or are you screwed as much as the bank is?
Oh, somebody's taking that over. That loan is being transferred. Actually, most of the times they're always repositioning and selling their loans to somebody else. So that process is going to happen immediately, and somebody's going to collect your money, right? Because it's worth something. Your loan, your $10 million loan, is worth something. It's just, how much is it worth? At a certain price, anybody will pick it up. Right. So now you got these big banks just sitting there. Their commercial real estate, like their percentage in their portfolio is very small. They're not as exposed to it. And now they're like, you guys took all the risks. Now if you guys going to shut your doors, like, we'll take over operations, right? You're not going to get a penny. But what about all those people that have more than 250,000 in the bank account? Right. Like, when that bank, that's why when you have that type of money, you don't put it in a regional regional small bank. I don't care if they offer me 2% interest versus, the large banks. I'd rather have my money in the largest bank there is. Because if that goes down, then we got more problems than that. Right. So, I don't know. And sometimes they will let one of the big fishes take a hit. Right. Lehman Brothers had to go down. But sometimes it's just how willing are they to just kind of like say, yep, they went down, they were irresponsible, and then they get off the hook. They need a scapegoat somewhere. Right. And then everyone's like, okay, blame them, but they're now dead. So on to the next thing. But, that loan that you're talking about, if a regional bank had it, if a small bank had it, a big bank's going to come and just take it. All of that just goes on sale. And the banks come in and say, I want that one. We'll take that whole package right there. They're getting at a discount.
Okay, so then the question is, if you're the owner of that building and you're still paying your debt, and that bank goes down, are you still able to hold on to that property, or is that?
No, you still hold on to the property. You just got to pay your debt to somebody else now.
Gotcha.
Somebody else picked it up.
All right, can I give Fraser an example? Sorry.
Yeah, please.
So Countrywide was absorbed by Bank of America when we were going through our thing. And we didn't know it because our managing partner got all the information. So one day we get a call from Bank of America, and they're like, your loan is late. We're like, we don't have a loan with you. What are you talking about? So apparently they absorbed Countrywide and they just took it over. So that's the way it goes.
Yeah, they'll absorb your loan. And the ones that are bad, okay, the ones that are bad, they're like, government, we will absorb it if you pay for it. We don't want to take a loss on it. Right? You cover the difference, we'll take it over. And that's how the big boys play. They're in bed with the Federal Reserve. They're in bed with the printing machine. And they'll probably just keep printing. I feel like we are in a place in human evolution that we can't stop printing money. It just can't. There's too much credit out there. There's too much debt to stop the printing machine. So just roll with it, I guess. But anyways, I want to give you guys a chance. If you guys want to, we do a little networking at the end of this. I'll just break you guys out into rooms and share, I don't know, where you're from, what you're doing, what you're up to. And so perhaps you will meet somebody, a business partner, an investor, a friend. All right, so I'll do that. We'll break you out into rooms now. Anybody have last minute questions about Bankonomics Part 1? We're going to do Bankonomics Part 2 next week. Yes, thank you guys. Lots of people checking it out on social. Hopefully it brought some new light and expanded your mind a little bit about what's going on. And next week, same time, we will do this again, and we'll go a little bit deeper and give updates about what it looks like next week. All right, so Instagram, see you later. See you next week. Peace out. And then for you guys here, I'll break you guys out for about 10 minutes. Oh, looks like everybody's leaving anyways.